I want to dive deeper into your work now with mental health and depression because I think that's what can be a huge unlock for people within. All right, how does this spirituality actually, okay, like you're talking about spirituality within health, but I guess give me some more proof actually.
Mm.
Um, Talk to me about your work there and how depression and spirituality are deeply intertwined.
If we look at the numbers, people who build the spiritual life, and again, I could be Christian or Hindu or spiritual and not religious, whatever my path. When we build our spiritual life, we are 80% less likely to become addicted. We are 2/3 less likely to become depressed. The benefits on mental health are huge. There's nothing else in the published science as profoundly protective against the diseases of despair, depression, addiction, anxiety. Nothing is robustly protective for us as a strong spiritual life. And, there's a tricky back door here, too. Sometimes driving down the highway 80 miles an hour, that's a really risky thing to do. We're less likely to do that, too, when we have 70% less likely to jump out the second story window at a party, things that could really ruin our lives. When we have a strong spiritual core, 70% less likely to take dangerous risks. So we are healthier, we are happier, we are more resilient when we build the spiritual core. The data is very strong and very clear. So if I were feeling like I was having a hard time grappling with addiction, I would go to AA and I would open up in my heart a conversation with the higher power. If I were struggling with drugs and alcohol, I would say, what higher power are you showing me? Can I hand this to you? I can't do this alone. Right? If I were struggling with depression, and I have in my life at times had real depressions. Um, God, higher power, please let me feel that you've got me. Let me feel your embrace. Let me feel this, your buoyance. Let me feel your love. And it just may come cascading forward, right? There is a way in which if we ask and open, as we're built to open, be an open system, the deeper presence in life, the sacred force in life comes forward, who I call God. You use your word. Uh, and it's there for all of us. Nobody's left out. We're all built to open to the deeper force of life, and the sacred presence is there for all of us. It's our choice to then open our hearts in dialogue.
What if the condition we pathologize and diagnose as depression is sometimes actually spiritual hunger?
Very often, in fact, roughly 2/3 of the time, when we are struggling with despair, it is actually the grappling, the existential hunger that we yearn for more. And I don't mean more like I wish I had a nicer car or a cuter partner. I mean the more inside to actually, that hunger is us feeling something real and true, which is we are meant to expand. It's really a knock at the door to expand and be more inside, open up our heart more, feel God's love more, see into life more deeply as a sacred path, feel the assurance and reassurance of the deeper force in life. So feeling not enoughness doesn't mean that I'm not successful enough or fit enough or have enough followers or money. The not enoughness comes from inside, and it's an accurate not enoughness that it's time to grow and expand spiritually. It is a gentle invitation. And we don't need to have the answers. We don't need to know, what's the playbook for how to grow spiritually. We can hand it over to God and we will be guided and shown. Depression then is a developmental depression. It's not against us, it's for us. A knock at the door to an awakening about 2/3 of the time. And then about a third of the time, we can be medically ill and we should get treatment. We should get medication or psychotherapy, and that's good. And still hand it over.
It's so fascinating with that viewpoint. Then it's like depression doesn't mean that there's something wrong, but it's just a manifestation, and your job and your work is to go deeper and to decipher that manifestation, and what that manifestation is asking for is spiritual awakening.
Your soul aches to grow, and the ache is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that reframing. That's something that helped me a ton with chronic pain. It's not so much of what's wrong with me, how do I get rid of this, but what is this asking me to look at? And I think that could really be an unlock for people. And but it's so fascinating from the mental health component side of things.
An unlock. That's the perfect word.
And is it also with people with depression? Are you saying that it wouldn't just help them, but are they also going to be the most neurologically receptive to it naturally or no?
Tim, the very same part of our brain that is very sensitive and can show cortical thinness when we're depressed, in depression, is the very same part of the brain that seems to respond to spiritual life. In other words, we are built with a very sensitive brain. And the more open we are and the more perceptive we are and the more we bring our heart to things, you wear your heart on your sleeve, the more that we feel, the more we take in the world. It can feel great. It can stab us in the heart. The more we feel. Well, we have a choice in times of pain, either to go down the spiral, the rabbit hole, or in that very moment, develop a spiritual response to suffering. If we choose to practice, it's like going to the gym. It's a choice, a discipline, a spiritual response to suffering. We build the muscle and see over time in our study, over 8 years, there was cortical thickness. Really, we can build the brain, like build the muscle, cortical thickness across the regions of the awakened brain. So yes, we're all built to awaken, but the choice and the discipline to say, hey, God, what do you ask of me now? What are you showing me now? What is this unlock? Greatest word, Tim, the spiritual unlock. That is a practice. And when we do, we receive the assurance and love, we receive the guidance, and we know we're never alone.